While it's clear the Boston Bruins will have to be choosy about which players they want to sign given the tight salary cap, they should also make every effort to retain those who make the difference. Which is why they're going to start paying David Pastrnak more than $11 million per season starting next year and lock in top linebackers Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm to long-term deals, as well as the Big B's image of the NHL. When Boston Bruins general manager Don Sweeney traded the UFAs for rent Dmitry Orlov, Garnet Hathaway, and Tyler Bertuzzi. Sweeney mentioned at a somber end-of-season press conference in Boston that the Bruins can't keep any of those players in the current salary cap situation, but are hoping to keep at least one of the 3 black and gold players on loan. If only they could make some commercial capital savings around NHL free agency. I couldn't just categorically sign these players today, Sweeney said when asked specifically about the next 3 UFAs traded on deadline. You know, we took advantage of our border situation a little bit. Everyone knows our surplus, $4.5 million. So we have some limitations, just like some other teams in the league. Our aim was to put the absolute best team we could put together for the season and try to have a legit race, and we failed, hands down. While it's clear that the Boston Bruins will have to be choosy about the players they want to sign due to the tight salary cap, they must also make every effort to retain those who make the difference. That's why they're going to start paying David Pastrnak over $11 million a season starting next year and lock in top-tier defensemen Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm to long-term deals, as well as the Big B's image. 3 new players entered this general discussion at the NHL trade deadline, when Boston Bruins general manager Don Sweeney traded the UFAs for leases in Dmitry Orlov, Garnet Hathaway, and Tyler Bertuzzi. So we have to pay a little more upfront. That could mean bringing in younger players, that could mean roster changes, which we'd love to do. This could mean that I can sign, as you mentioned, one of those 3 players or another unrestricted player. We have to contact 2 RFAs in Trent, Frederick and Jeremy Swayman. What will we do? And roster changes are probably out of the question. You know, we're not going to be the same team, but our internal mandate, collectively as a group, is that we have a really strong core of guys that we hope, as Jim Montgomery said, keep going. Growth will assume leadership responsibilities in the future. Regardless of whether Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci walk out the door because they have to or not. While some might think Orlov will be the player the Boston Bruins are hoping to keep after Boston Bruins fans started calling him Bobby Orlov for his offensive play that has seen him score goals since arriving from Washington, it actually does more sense that Boston wants to keep Tyler Bertuzzi. The Bruins already have plenty of NHL defensemen, with 6 currently under contract in the NHL and big money earmarked for McAvoy and Lindholm. As one of the top 4 quarterbacks at the age of 32 after a strong stint with the Boston Bruins, Orlov will earn the most money among the 3 players if he takes the spot. And there's a chance he could return to the Washington Capitals, the home he built during his NHL career before being traded to Boston. Hathaway has fit perfectly into the Bruins' backseat as a physical, hard-hitting player, but they won't be able to afford a player like that for a 4th-line role next season and beyond. It's a shame that the Maine native was the quintessential Boston Bruins player in many ways, but the Bees are in no position to splurge on luxuries with just $6 million in salary cap space this season. Bertuzzi, on the other hand, fit right in with black and gold after a few weeks of assimilation into the new environment. The 28-year-old led the Bruins with 5 goals and 10 points in a 7-game playoff series against the Florida Panthers and gained enough confidence from the Boston Bruins coaching staff to take on Patrice Bergeron and Brad Marchand in Game 7. Sure, Bertuzzi had some expensive turnovers during the streak and was -4 in the playoff series as he struggled to make an impact at times during the 5-on-5 game. Pastrnak, Charlie McAvoy and a Brad Marchand player who still has the 6th most shutouts, 13, in the NHL playoffs despite not playing a game in nearly 2 weeks. But so did virtually every other player on the Boston Bruins roster against a fast, aggressive Florida team that forced them to make poor puck decisions throughout the series. The end result was that Bertuzzi was one of the most productive postseason players for the Boston Bruins in the series, proving to be a great asset in front of the net on the power play and showing the kind of game chemistry with David Pastrnak that could only improve as they play together regularly. All of which should make Bertuzzi a priority for the Boston Bruins to sign, even if he does get some decent free agent money based on a stellar playoff performance after an injury-plagued season that saw him score 8 goals and 30 points in 50 games for both the Red Wings and the Bruins. After all, Bertuzzi is a year away from scoring 30 goals with the Red Wings and has been a dogged and productive NHL player throughout his career on some pretty bad hockey teams in Detroit. The other piece of good news is that Bertuzzi loved his time with the Boston Bruins, so it's in our mutual interest to keep the feisty, resourceful winger at black and gold. On top of all that, don't forget that the Boston Bruins also invested a first-round pick in Bertuzzi's Detroit contract after being unsure of Nick Foligno and Taylor Hall's injury stats at the end of the regular season. Something needs to be rescued from this NHL trade deadline, even though they were clearly all in before falling spectacularly in the first round against the Florida Panthers. There are many signs that point to Bertuzzi potentially returning to the Boston Bruins if things work out this offseason, but like everything else, it depends on what the Bees are able to extract from their dire salary cap situation. It's wonderful to have you here. I am extremely happy with your presence and would love to hear your opinion in the comments, so that we can together expand our knowledge of Boston through this channel. Sharing knowledge is essential, so I would be very grateful if you would subscribe to our channel, allowing us to reach even more fans. With your help, I feel motivated to post videos daily and keep it constantly updated. By subscribing, you will receive notifications whenever a new video is published. Thank you immensely for your support.